Rebel Run Sports Show. Thank you for joining us this week. I'm Rob Giampapa, joined by a very special guest, a man who's seen more football in Northern Virginia than anybody should, seen it all around the country. Jimmy Thomas, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me, Rob. Glad to be here.
Excellent, excellent. Well, let's get right into it. We had a ton of games on the schedule this week. First one, we were at Annandale-Stewart. Annandale rolled up on them 44-0. Annandale has a ton of athleticism on the field. I mean, they got Jalen Jackson. I don't know what else we can say about that guy. I mean, this week he comes out with 16 carries, $139, and 3 touchdowns. That guy is a load for anybody to stop out there.
Absolutely. Tough matchup for Coach Martin over at Stewart, new to the program, trying to get his guys in gear, trying to get his program and his philosophies instilled. Definitely a tough matchup for those guys here in week 3.
Absolutely, man. Well, not only Jalen Jackson, but they come off the bench with Tyler Rush. He comes out with 15 carries, 88 yards, and 2 touchdowns. They led 16-0 after the first quarter, 30-0 at the half. I think they took their foot off the gas a little bit after the third quarter.
Yeah, once you get that snowball rolling and it gets in momentum, sometimes it's hard to stop.
Absolutely. Coach Mike Scott, I know he's happy to get back on the winning track now. Annandale, they got a good matchup coming up we'll talk about later, but they're playing Woodson next week. I think that'll be a really strong matchup for them. Those guys, I said Jalen Jackson, run of 50 yards, another run of 5 yards, and a run of 15 yards, all for touchdowns. That guy, he's on a roll. Watch out for him. He told people before the season he was looking for 2,000 yards. He's well on his way here.
Well, hey, they're rolling. They're going to be a tough matchup next week. So eager to see what they can do, moving into the tough part of their schedule.
Well, the next game we had, Centerville Broad Run.
Yeah, awesome matchup, inter-county battle. A couple years ago, I guess, Meach Henry and in Centerville matched up, and definitely for Coach Haddock, his focus was to stop Henry after rushing for 253 yards last time they met. And they did just that. They held him. He did make his impact with a 41-yard halfback toss there in the third quarter to get him on the board. But Centerville's stout defense held him out of the end zone for the rest of the week and went on and pulled the 21-9 victory. So good, tough defensive matchup, physical, but Centerville prevailed.
Now, you got ties to Centerville.
Sure.
They were off track a little bit last year. They seem to be bouncing back pretty well this year. They're undefeated. Their running game is rolling, but looks like they went out and threw the ball a lot this game too.
Yeah, the Concord District probably the toughest in the state, and to keep yourself, at the top of the mountain every year is difficult to do. And so they're back this year. Coach Haddock looks like he's got a pretty stout team, especially defensively. So it'll be interesting to see what they have when they get into the Concord and some of these other opponents.
Yeah, I know Broad Run had a tough match, but I have not seen Meach Henry up close yet. I really want to see this guy. I think he's got 800 yards already on the season.
Yeah, coming in averaging 227 yards a game. So it was a big task for the Wildcats, and they stood up to the test and did a good job slowing him down a little bit. He did end up the night with 27 carries, 133 yards, which is nothing to bat an eye at. When you got a 227-yard average, I think Centerville was pretty happy with the outcome after that one.
Absolutely. Well, the next one we have up here, Madison, McLean. I got a chance to see Madison last week against Stonebridge. They are tough. They've got some big guys on that field, and their defense, obviously, they held Stonebridge to 15 this week. They held McLean to nothing. They got a running back duo that I really like. Wiley Counts and Nick Quinto. Counts went for 8 carries, 64 yards and a touchdown. Quinto goes for 5 carries, 31 yards, 2 touchdowns. They're pretty tough to stop. Obviously, 42-0 over McLean. It's a big score, but there's something about Madison I really like. They're also their quarterback, Jacob Chowka. He was 13 of 16 for $175 and a touchdown. If you can go 13 of 16, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, they have a great game day experience. Right there in Madison and Vienna, a lot of history right there. The big rivalry with Oakton. So it's good to see them when they get the ball rolling and really their program is actually moving forward full steam. They're doing a good job, off to a hot start. So it'll be fun to watch them moving forward.
Well, the next one we have on there was South Lakes Yorktown.
Southlake's Yorktown. Southlake's off to a hot start this year with Coach Trey Taylor, 3-0, and they have the DC touchdown player of the week from last week, Spencer Austin, who's off to an unbelievable start this season. 4 touchdowns last week, came back this week with another 4 touchdowns against Yorktown. 16 rushes for 104 yards. He's up and rolling. Interesting thing about Spencer Austin is he almost didn't play football this year. Sat down with Coach Taylor, decided what he wanted to do with his future. He verbally committed to Ohio State to play lacrosse. But Coach Taylor got him back out on the football field and 8 touchdowns in 2 games, man. You can't argue with success.
No, not at all. Again, they're off to an undefeated start. They're tremendous right now. That's a team. Again, I can't wait to see them in person. We put a Twitter poll up this week. They were one of the games on there. Woodson Fairfax beat them out. The Woodson Cavalry beat them out. But we really want to get out there and see Southlake's up close and personal. Devon Miles, another guy who's had a really good start. Their quarterback. He's been tremendous to start the season. Yeah,
he was 7 for 10 for 128 this weekend. And, when you got a strong running game like they do, it's important to get good quarterback play, and he's doing just that.
Absolutely. The next game we got on the schedule was Falls Church and Herndon. Falls Church had a rough start to the season. They lost to Eastern to start off, then lost to Potomac Falls. Potomac Falls is a tough place to play. But Falls Church gets back on the track with 48-12 win over Herndon. Man, DeQuandre Marshall, 9 carries, 116 yards and a touchdown. Also comes out with 3 catches for 39 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was rolling in that game. They were off and running from the get-go. Adrian Collins, one of their stars on that team, he's a quiet guy, but you can tell he is full of confidence on the field. That guy is tough to stop, but he had 5 carries, 82 yards and a touchdown, and 3 receptions for 39 yards.
Anytime you can come into the Concord and get that W, that's a big thing. I know Jeremiah Davis over there at Herndon doing a good job trying to get his philosophy, like some other schools, entrenched in the Herndon community, doing a good job. I've seen his kids are actually playing Herndon youth football, so he's really trying to entrench himself in the community and get that program going in the right direction. So tough matchup for him. Good game for Falls Church. Awesome win for Falls Church going into the Concord and putting 48 up on anybody.
Absolutely. And Coach Aziz, I talked to him the other day. He was going to come on with us if they won on Sunday, but I think he doesn't want to get on. He wants to make sure they get on a winning streak first. So we'll talk to Coach Aziz again sometime soon. We better talk to Coach Aziz sometime soon. Tyler Reynolds in that game. He's a receiver I really like too. Big guy. He's got speed. He's got good hands. He had 5 catches for 63 yards and a touchdown. But their quarterback, Luke Saya, I believe he's a junior. He has 13 of 21, $155, 3 touchdowns. Also had 5 carries for 59 yards and 2 touchdowns. You come away from 5 touchdowns, you're on that on the Lamar Jackson track going.
Yeah. Well, Coach Aziz is doing an awesome job of getting those kids out of the hallway and onto the football field. Last few years, their program has obviously made some strides. Like I said, coming in and putting big points up in the Concord district just shows, the hard work and the success that they're having within the program. So good job to Coach Aziz.
And you had TC Williams Westfield. You were at that game?
I did. Actually went over there and checked out that game. Coming in, Westfield coming off a very physical game against South County, 2 Northern Region powers. And I think it showed a little bit. Tough, hard-fought game. Scoreless, almost heading into the half. Westfield scored with about a minute to go, heading into the half at 7-0, and ended up pulling out the 21-14 lead. But very hard-hitting defensive game there. Like I said, 21-14 final. Westfield pulled it out late, made some adjustments at halftime like they typically do. I spoke with Coach Keating, their offensive line coach, at halftime. They were struggling running the football, especially outside the tackle. So, like I said, they went in, made some adjustments, ended up pulling it out. Sean Eckert, 4 catches for 68 yards and a touchdown, highlighted Westfield, but again, strong defensive battle. Not a lot of points on the board, but a very good game to watch.
What'd you think about that TC team over there?
I thought they played very inspired ball. I thought coach is doing an awesome job of they went out there, they weren't shy. Westfield's a tough place to play, tough opponent, highly ranked, undefeated, and they went in there, nose down and put up a good hard fight, and I think people were surprised by the outcome. I certainly was.
Gotcha. And next, man, talked about Potomac Falls a few minutes ago. They come out and get another win, 41-28 over Langley. Their running back, Cash Jackson, this guy just keeps rolling, 17 carries, 99 yards, 3 touchdowns. Also, they've got a three-headed monster over there. You know, so like they're like the triplets from the Cowboys back in the day. Like Cash Jackson at running back, and then they got wide receiver Kayvon Chase. This guy, 3 catches, 2 touchdowns, 79 yards. I think it's 2 weeks in a row he's been real close in catches and touchdowns. And their quarterback, Hunter Lawal, was only 4 for 5. 3 of them went to Kayvon Chase, but he was 4 for 5, 117 yards, 2 touchdowns. Potomac Falls is tough. I think they're going to be somebody to contend with through the rest of the year.
I tell you what, when you have a number of different weapons like that, it's difficult to stop. When you know, a lot of times in high school football, you have, you know, a few players, powerhouse players that you lean on, and they're pretty strong throughout. So they're going to be a tough opponent moving forward.
Yeah, and not to be outdone, Langley running back Dan Hosley in that game, 20 carries for 91 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he was on quite a roll too. One game we've got to talk about, though. South County, they come off the loss to Westfield last week. They're playing Hayfield. Shootout in that game. Hayfield comes back. They're down 21-13. They come back and score 33 points in the third quarter, go up. South County comes back, scores 22 in the fourth to win 50-46. I mean, that's a great game to watch right there.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Pannoni really has that program, you know, up and firing. But we all know over at Hayfield, Coach Henderson, you know, with ties back to Braddock and West Potomac, he likes to put the ball up in the air, loves to score a lot of points. So, you know, not surprised to see almost 100 points on the board in that ball game. But an awesome ball game to watch and a good win for South County. Yeah,
man, I told John one day before we started, I said, this guy to watch out for is Solomon Sameh from South County. Comes out, he's making me look good this year already. He comes out, he's got 26 carries for 91 yards and 3 touchdowns. You got a stud at wide receiver, Nate Avery. 3 catches, 42 yards and a touchdown. Again, can't talk about South County without talking about Dylan Spalding. That dude is just a monster. Comes out 7 catches, 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. They made the switch at quarterback from Mike Salisbury to Jack McDaniels. Jack McDaniels has been unbelievable since they made that switch. 20 of 28, 236 yards and 4 touchdowns. I'll tell you, I love Mike Salisbury. I think he's a tremendous athlete. He is an incredibly high character kid. He's obviously getting recruited by all kinds of the service academies and things like that. He's a tremendous athlete. I think him going to the slot, maybe playing a little running back as well, is a tremendous spot for him, and it's a luxury for Coach Pannoni to have over there, have that guy all over the field.
Yeah, there's a lot of talent out there in Lorden, and I think one of Coach Pannoni's biggest problem is trying to, you know, distribute the ball so everybody remains happy, because they got a lot of good ball players out there.
Yeah, and I was surprised, the 46 points put up by Hayfield, I was surprised. You know, that South County likes to pride themselves on their defensive backs. I was shocked to see that 46 points, but I'm sure those defensive backs will remember that and they'll get back on track.
Yeah, I had a chance to see Hayfield earlier this year in a 7-on-7 tournament over at Oakton High School, which they won. And I'm not surprised to see them put up a lot of points. They have some talented athletes out there.
Excellent. Well, I'll tell you, I was at Woodson Fairfax. Man, Fairfax is having a tough go this year. New coach Jim Patrick comes in there. He's got a tough task ahead of him trying to get those guys up and running right now. But Woodson came out a little bit slow in the first half. Their quarterback, I love Jojo Heisley. I love that guy's confidence. I love his whole game. He likes to pull that option back and take off around the corner with it. He did it a couple times, scored a couple touchdowns on those. They're a lot of fun to watch when they get rolling. But those guys, Coach Doc over there at Woodson, he told me before the season they were going to get on a roll. They were going to be a little bit better than they were last year. He looked for their defense to be a step up from last year. They've already beat Chantilly. Now they've gone on and taken out Fairfax. 42-7 Woodson over Fairfax. it's a little bit of a dig for me to be there and see the Fairfax take that loss like that. But man, I really like that Woodson team, and like I said, there's not enough I can say about Jojo Heisley. I love that guy.
Yeah, they're off to a good start. As you mentioned, great win over there at Chantilly. But the thing about that matchup, the Woodson and Fairfax, is you can most of the time throw the records out the window. You know, just a couple of miles apart, big time rivalry right there in Fairfax City. So going in, despite the records, you never know quite what you're going to get in the ball game. So you know, Woodson came in prepared and put up 42 on them, which is a good outcome for them. But going into that rivalry, you got to watch out sometimes.
Yeah. And I talked to Coach Doc after the game, and they went tempo late in that game. They were already up big, but they went tempo, and he told me, he said, you know, we're not trying to run it up or anything, but we've got a big game against Annandale coming up. We need to make sure that we run that tempo and get it right in this game, so we can moving forward to next week. That's going to be an intriguing game on the schedule next week. That Woodson against Annandale. I'm looking forward to seeing that. With Woodson, man, they travel well too. I mean, it's a short drive from Woodson to Fairfax, but that cavalry comes out, they pack that place, and they get going well. Their fan base is tremendous.
A lot of history there. You know, they used to play the regional championships there at Woodson High School. So, yeah, there's a lot of history there, and they do have a great fan base.
Yeah. Well, actually, earlier this year, right before the season started, we had a chance to go out to Woodson High School and talk to Jojo Heisley and to Coach Doc out there. Take a look.
Well, talk a little bit about that off-season program. What goes into your off-season? What do you look for as far as training-wise?
Well, we go in 6-week cycles where we'll lift on percentage basis. We mix in some CrossFit to keep the cardio up, some stretching, but it's really December through May. It's not pleasant, and you know, the ones that can make it through that, when we come out here for 2-a-days and when we have trouble on Friday nights, they've already kind of been beat down a little bit, and they know how to deal with it. That's really the whole thing of an off-season program for me. The gaining the weight, the getting stronger, those are added bonuses to what it teaches you mentally and what it does to your character to show up every day after school and to go through that grind. I mean, we're doing the standard stuff. We're benching, we're deadlifting, we're power cleaning and squatting. And every player, Jojo will tell you, they hate the CrossFit stuff that we do, but it's a necessity because it just trains you how to push through something you don't like.
Okay. Well, on the field, do you have a particular system that you like to run, or do you kind of change it from year to year, or do you have a system that you kind of tweak to your team?
Well, for the last 6 years, we've been running what we call an up-tempo college spread, and everything predicates off of the zone read option, and that has been our staple since my days back at Stonewall. What we'll do year to year is we'll tweak some route combinations based on personnel. Everything has to be based on personnel, but I was a double wing guy for a decade, and I'm not anymore. I probably will never be, but 10 years from now, if I'm a double wing guy again, it'll be an up-tempo double wing. Everything, I just feel like if your practice is at that pace, when you get to the game, the other team is just not, they can't prepare for that. You can hide some weaknesses by pushing the tempo of the game.
Well, you brought up Stonewall, so I wanted to ask you, you've coached in all 3 counties, Fairfax, Loudoun, Prince William. What's the biggest difference between coaching in those counties for you?
Well, Loudoun, kids are smaller, not as fast. So if you have some decent coaching, you can compete on a weekly basis. Prince William, I feel like the athleticism is off the chart, and sometimes teams that shouldn't win. And then when they get down the road and have to face teams that are well coached and disciplined, that they have trouble, you know, in the stages of the region and into the state. Fairfax County, you almost have a playoff game every Friday. There are no games on our schedule that we're chalking a check mark next to, because every team that walks out on the field is bigger than us. They usually have more guys. There was not one team last year that we outsized or outspeeded. Our biggest kid on our team last year weighed 240, and he's still our biggest, and he's 255 now. So, when you're facing the Braddocks and the South Counties and the Robinsons of the world, they're 300 across the front, and you have to beat them with things like tempo and execution and try to outcoach them, and that's tough to do in Fairfax. I think that coaching in Fairfax County is better than the other 2 counties.
Well, you all have a great community here at Woodson. You have a lot of support. This place gets packed on Friday nights. What's it like being a coach for an athletic community as you have here?
Very supportive. I can remember being 9-0 at I won't say what school, at other schools, and turning around and seeing 800 people in the stands. We're 1-6 at one point, and I turn around and there's 4,000 people chanting, cheering. We call it our cavalry, and they support almost every sport we have here. They're known for basketball at the home basketball games, and when we traveled, when the basketball team was advancing to the region in the States, and we brought 900 kids with us to VCU 2 years ago for the boys state semifinal, and those same kids are coming out to football games and they're beating on buckets, and a lot of tradition, a lot of history here, and the kids deserve that type of support from the community.
Jojo, before we get into this year, I want to take you back. You had one of the top plays we had all year.
Okay.
You had the touchdown in the corner to Jack Caldwell. Take me back to that play. What do you remember about that?
Oh, I remember being at the 10-yard line and then looking at the matchup that Jack had against him, and I was thinking to myself, and I was like, oh, it's going to be a good one. So then snap the ball and then just throw it to only where he can put it, and he did the rest.
Yeah. Well, going back to last year, what did you learn from last year? What could you take away from last year going into this year?
Biggest thing I learned from last year was definitely just play your heart out every game, because you don't know when you can get hurt or when it could be your last. Taking it back to the TC game when I twisted my ankle, and then the next week when it affected me against Lake Braddock, it was definitely a huge impact, but that's just one of the things you have to do. You got to play it safe and play your game.
Okay. Well, in the offseason, what did you want to work on to get better individually?
Individually, the biggest thing I wanted to work on was my mechanics, because last year they were decent, but definitely could be tweaked for the better. So this season and the summer, I've been working a lot with my private coach and just getting better every time.
Okay. Now, you're talking about your mechanics. You hold on to that ball as long as you possibly can when you're running that option.
Yeah.
It's a little bit dangerous out there. What's it like holding that ball that long?
I like it, honestly. I don't feel a lot of pressure running the ball. So, I mean, it's one of the things I enjoy most. I love the open field one-on-ones and just making people miss. It's one of the things I thoroughly enjoy about the sport.
Okay. And what do you feel you do best on the football field?
I would say the thing that I do best was not inspiring myself to play better, but inspiring others. Like, for example, when we played West Springfield last year, we were down 21-7, and then we had that huge connection to Jack Caldwell. I feel like that didn't only spark my game, but it sparked everyone else's game, and especially the crowd too.
And are there other quarterbacks in the area that you kind of look out for, that you keep track of to see where you are? Can you compare and contrast?
Oh, definitely. Like Peter Musket from West Springfield, he's a top contender. Shout out to him. He's one of the best. And then the Lake Braddock transfer from Hayfield, Ty Crabb, I've known him for a while too. I played youth league with him, so we definitely still keep in touch, and we just have fun competing against each other.
Okay. And how is the Woodson football team going to be better on the field this year?
I think that we're going to have more speed than we did last year. I feel like at the offensive line position, we were decent, but we could have been better. And then this season, well, the offseason, a lot of the linemen have just been getting after it, conditioning and lifting. So I feel like that's one where we're going to really improve on.
Okay. Well, we talked to Coach Doc about the cavalry. It gets crazy out here on Friday nights. Talk a little bit about those guys and the support that you get from the student body.
Oh, I love them. I love looking at them every single time. It's just awesome to know, even when you're losing 21-7 or 14-7, it's always nice to have that support system.
Now, who do you watch? Who do you like to watch, whether it be college or professional? Who do you like to watch? Who you study at the quarterback position?
I like to relate myself to like a young Johnny Manziel, I'm not as fast, but, I still like to dream a little bit.
All right. Not off the field, though.
Oh, no.
All right, good. And who is Woodson's rival? What game do you guys get up the most for?
I would say about the big contenders, like the South Counties and Lake Braddocks and Robinsons. I mean, they're definitely challenges, like, don't get me wrong, but it's just something else playing against them. I mean, TC and like Annandale have their challenges, and they're good teams too. But it's just something else when you're playing the South Counties and Lake Braddocks.
Okay. And their student sections travel too.
Oh yes, they do.
All right. Well, what are your expectations as a senior quarterback? What are your expectations going into this year?
I want to have at least a winning record. That's probably my main goal. Like 25 passing touchdowns, probably 10 rushing, or probably more. I feel like I could get, but definitely just playing for something bigger than myself, playing for the Cavalry and the team. That's definitely my main goal.
All right, welcome back. There's a lot of games that we went through already. There's a couple scores I just wanted to mention here. West Potomac over Briarwoods, 38-35. Champ over Loudoun Valley, 17-14. I know that was a shocker to some people. That Loudoun Valley's been on a roll, but Heritage, 23-14 over Freedom. And Riverside over John Paul the Great gets their first win in school history. Shout out to Coach Day out there getting his first win.
Congratulations, Coach
Absolutely.
Day.
West Springfield, 35-7 over Lee. I'm sure Coach Eldridge will be tremendously happy about that. Oakton, 31-20 over Tuscarora. Tuscarora's having a down year. I'm a bit surprised about that.
Oakland's got some banged. I know they lost their quarterback. That's a good way for them to answer after a tough start to the season.
Absolutely. Hilton, 47-0 over Osborne Park. Man, Hilton's got athletes all over the place too. They are terrific to watch. Patriot, 36-7 over Woodbridge. And Stonebridge, 39-7 over Chantilly. That was a shocker for me too. Like I said, I saw Stonebridge last week. Only put up 15 against Madison. Going 39-7 over Chantilly was a shock.
Yeah, well, taking that loss like that, Stonebridge not used to things like that, so you figured they'd answer the bell and would come in ready and prepared against Chantilly, and they obviously were.
Absolutely. Riverbend came up and gave Battlefield their first loss of the year, 25-14, and Woodgrove keeps rolling 24-14 over Dominion. Man, I love that guy, Mike Kovich, the quarterback at Woodgrove. But the game of the week that we had this week, obviously it was a game of the week everywhere. Lake Braddock, Robinson, both of them came in undefeated, crosstown rivals. I mean, that's a long tradition of a rivalry going
Sure
right there. Man, could not believe seeing the score. Ends out 36-7. Lake Braddock dominated throughout. I will say, John and I picked that game last week. Thank you, Lake Braddock, for making me look good on that.
It's one of those things where you got the powerhouse, the big passing offense against the power run game, and Coach Poitras and the Bruins, got it going and put up 36 on the board and were able to stop the run. A little bit of a surprise, but excellent win for the Bruins. Man, that Lake Braddock defense, they deserve a lot of credit. Slowing down that Robinson running attack is hard to do. Robinson, they still come out with 53 carries for 250 yards, only one touchdown, but they were putting up a lot bigger numbers than that. 53 carries, it's a lot, but they got slowed down by that Lake Braddock defense. Yeah, and 250 yards rushing is a lot, but Braddock played the bend but don't break defense and only put up gave up 7 points. So. Yep. Well done. And when you look at the Lake Braddock quarterbacks, they combined to go 3 for 13 for 33 yards and a touchdown. Wow. That doesn't look like a winning formula, but when you've got Lamont Atkins in the backfield, that dude had 13 carries, 330 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He was unstoppable in that game. He had touchdown runs, 2 runs of 71 yards, a run of 96 yards. I mean, that guy, what are you going to do with him when he's coming down the pike? Yeah, I mentioned powerhouse, passing offenses, which Braddock has been in the past, but sometimes you got these powerhouse backs that come in, you got to stuff them the ball, so they're doing just that. Tremendous, man. They are terrific. I'm going to tell you right now, Lake Braddock's going to be tough to beat. I don't care who it is. They're going to be tough to beat the rest of the season. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to go away from Lamont Atkins. We're going to go right into our top performers just based off of that. I mean, Lamont Atkins, he's definitely the top performer of the week. 13 carries, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns. I don't care where you are, who you play against. That is a tremendous game. When you put up against Robinson, a rival like that, and a team like Robinson,
you're doing things.
Yeah, I don't know what the average per carry is on that, but
It's a lot.
13 for over 300 is a pretty good day, I'd say. And so congratulations to him for an outstanding weekend.
Yeah, UVA could use him right now, that's for sure.
They certainly could.
UVA can use him. A couple other guys that top performers in the area. We talked about Jalen Jackson earlier, 16 carries, 139, 3 touchdowns. Luke Saya from Falls Church, 13 of 21, a $155, 3 touchdowns, also 59 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jack McDaniels, 20 of 28, 236, 4 touchdowns, and another 9 carries for 34 yards. We also had Ricardo Mestre from W&L, the quarterback. He was 18 of 28 for 325 and 5 touchdowns.
Wow.
Hey,
Have a day.
absolutely. Eric Vivian, the Rock Ridge running back, comes out with 30 carries for 225 and a touchdown. And one guy from Champ, man, Carl Garman III. This guy, 40 carries for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's got those Ricky Williams carries going on there with the 40
I'll tell you
carries.
what, man, one thing we're seeing all over the region is when you got that dude, you got that back, man, put that ball in his belly and ride him. And I think we saw a lot of schools do that this weekend.
Absolutely, and passing seems to be in vogue everywhere else, but in the northern region, man, the running backs are going crazy with it.
They sure are. There were some big numbers this weekend.
Absolutely. Next week, some games on the schedule. There's Parkview and Champ, West Potomac, Lake Braddock. I think that's going to be an interesting game. I mean, West Potomac, they can throw it all over the place, but man, going against Lake Braddock is going to be tough. Yeah. Westfield plays Stonebridge. Interesting matchup there.
It is, but Westfield coming off of what they deem, I'm sure, is a little bit of a down performance. Stonebridge, big win, wants to get their program or their season back on track because they're used to being right up there in the regional contention. So that'll be a good game. A win for both teams would be very important.
Absolutely. Jimmy, you're going to fill in for John picking games this week.
Awesome.
So as right as you are, is going to go on his resume, which I don't like at all because you'll probably do way better than John. I'm just going to talk trash about him a little bit. We got Briarwood's Broad Run.
That's a tough one for me. I'm gonna ride Broad Run.
All right.
I'm gonna ride Broad Run this weekend with their man Meech Hembry and his 200+ average this year. I'm gonna ride them.
All right. You know what? I'm going to take Briarwoods. I like that receiver. They got Ben Maffey's going to Marshall. I'll take them, and I think they're going to be tough. They got a quarterback receiver duo there that's going to be tough for a Broad Run to stop. West Potomac, Lake Braddock.
West Pot, Lake Braddock. I'm gonna have to stick with Lake Braddock on that one. Yeah. They look tough on offense this week, and I look to see them pretty tough here throughout the season and in the regional contention. So I'm gonna ride Braddock on this one.
We'll push on that because I'm going to go with them too. Annandale, Woodson.
Both teams playing pretty good ball. Another, pretty close proximity, a pretty decent rivalry. I'm gonna ride with the Cavaliers on this one.
All right.
They're playing good football, and I'm a Fairfax City guy. I'm gonna ride with the Cavaliers.
All right. You leave me no choice. I'm going to take Annandale. I'm sorry, Coach Doc. I'm sorry, Jojo. I'm going to go ahead and take Annandale. Man, Jalen Jackson is a load to stop. And, they got a couple of guys out there don't throw the ball at number 4. That's all I'm going to say. Do not throw the ball at number 4. South County, West Springfield.
Coach Eldridge probably going to be mad at me, but I'm going to go with Coach Pinoni in South County. Number of athletes, like I mentioned earlier, down there in Lorton. And, another team that I suspect will be around late in playoff run. So I'm going to go with South County on this one.
That was probably, up until the state championship game, the South County West Springfield game last year, probably the best game I saw all year. It was 42-40. It was it was terrific. I'll go with West Springfield. I'm gonna go with an upset. I'm gonna take Peter Musket and Daniel Adu. I think they're gonna get on track and show out in that game. I'll go with West Springfield in front of that South County crowd. Man, South County's gonna hate me right now. I picked Westfield last week against them. Man, I'm sorry. I don't mean to pick against you.
As long as you're right, it's okay. It's when you get wrong, then they'll come get you.
That's right. I'm gonna get egged when I go to that stadium. The last game, Lee versus Stewart.
Lee versus Stewart. I'll take the Lee Lancers in this one.
They have a twin duo there. That's a tough quarterback and receiver. They're on the same page all the time. I like those guys a lot.
Twins got that spider sense. Sometimes
right.
you never know, so they'll work it out. So I like the Lancers as well.
Just to go against you, I'm going to take Stewart.
All right.
I'm going to take Stewart. Jimmy, thank you this week.
No, thank you guys
Appreciate
for
you
having
being
me.
here.
Hopefully John, is okay with the selections I made for him, but it was fun. Thank you guys for having me. You guys are doing a good job.
No, anytime. You can see us on Channel 2 and on Comcast Channel 2 in Prince William, on Comcast Channel 28 in Reston. You can find us all the time on demand at rebelrunsports.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week, and we'll leave you with our top play of the week. And this week's play of the week comes to us from our game of the week, Lake Braddock versus Robinson, where Lake Braddock tailback Lamont Atkins takes the handoff, busts through the line, and goes 96 yards for the touchdown. And nobody catching that man.